forced to raise my sibling while my parents ignored me completely. I was only 15 when everything changed. I was the oldest, the one who was supposed to be responsible, and I didn't mind taking care of things around the house, but no one ever told me how much that responsibility would weigh. It started when my little brother Ben was born. My parents' excitement at first was overwhelming, and I didn't think twice about how it might affect me. But it didn't take long for the shift to happen. At first it was a small thing. I'd come home from school to find Ben crying, but when I asked my mom if she needed help, she'd just wave me off. "Don't worry, I've got it," she'd say, and I'd go back to my homework. But as time passed, my parents became less and less involved in Ben's upbringing. The once loving attention they gave him started to fade, and I was the one left picking up the pieces. One day I came home from school, exhausted from a test, only to find Ben in his crib, crying uncontrollably. My mom was in the living room on the phone, and my dad was nowhere to be found. I went to Ben immediately, picking him up and trying to soothe him. He was barely a year old, too young to understand anything, but it felt like everything was on me. I took care of him like he was my own child. I fed him, changed him, stayed up late when he was sick, and even started missing out on time with my friends. Every time I'd try to talk to my mom about needing a break, she'd tell me that I was being dramatic. I wasn't being dramatic. I was a teenager being forced to parent, while my parents barely seemed to notice. The real turning point came the day of my high school graduation. I had been looking forward to it for months, working hard on my grades, my future. I thought for sure my parents would be there, cheering me on. But when the big day came, they didn't show. I was in the crowd, scanning the audience for their faces, but they were nowhere to be seen. After the ceremony, I called my mom to ask where they were. Her voice came through the phone, casual and distant. "Oh, we had to stay home with Ben. He's been sick." I stood there, surrounded by friends and their proud families, and realized that I had never mattered to them as much as Ben did. The irony was crushing. They had placed all their hopes on him, completely disregarding my own achievements, my own needs. Later that night, when I confronted my mom, she dismissed me with the same words, "You're being selfish. You knew Ben needed us more." I stood there, fighting back tears. "I needed you too, but you've been too busy with him to notice. You've ignored me completely." It didn't matter. She didn't understand, and my dad, he never even showed up to any of my milestones. He was always busy with work, or in his own world, leaving everything to me. They didn't even notice when I started slipping away. My grades started to drop. I began distancing myself from friends, and my once vibrant personality dimmed. The years went on, and I watched as my parents continued to focus all their energy on Ben. As he grew older, he became the center of attention: sports, school events, and everything else that came with being the golden child. And I continued to fade into the background, silently angry and resentful. No one acknowledged the sacrifices I had made. And then one day, Ben asked me to come watch one of his games. I didn't want to go. I hadn't been to any of his events because I couldn't bear to watch him be celebrated for the things I never got. But I went anyway, wanting to be a good sister. Sitting in the bleachers, watching him with my parents in the crowd, I realized just how much they had completely forgotten about me. For years, I had been carrying the weight of raising him, making up for the emotional void my parents left. And now, watching him be their everything, I felt a pain I couldn't explain. I had sacrificed my youth, my opportunities, my happiness for a family that had never acknowledged it.